There's
Well,
a lot of
that's exactly where my question is. Like, why is that wrong?
yeah, it's wrong for those that suffer, right? Any life form that is uh, experiences a life so bad that they would have been better off not existing. It's obviously the right thing for them, right?
Well, you're assuming it would be better off with them not existing. I'm asking why that is. I'm not asking what's the case. I'm asking why it is the case is that way.
Why is it the case that some would be better off not existing?
Yeah, like why is that the case morally? I'm asking you to ground your morals.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's just like, yeah, there are morals that I can go into, and I can get pretty complex with it. But just from a sort of basic standpoint, if a child, for example, gets born into a dungeon, assaulted all day, every day, and then tortured to death,
Hmm.
right? That's obviously a life that would have been better off being prevented, right?
No, not necessarily. I wouldn't agree with that. Yeah, no, I wouldn't agree with that. But my question wasn't necessarily based on what I believe. My question was based on what you believe. So why do you think that's wrong? Like why? Not is it wrong? You can't just make a claim because something is it's ought to be bad. That's the is ought problem. So I'm asking you why
Well,
it's wrong.
wrong comes from bad, right? In a
What does
sense,
that mean?
okay?
Wrong comes from bad.
So, why is anything wrong? Why is anything bad, right? It all comes back to suffering, essentially. So if I make someone suffer, it's bad,
Why?
it's wrong. Okay? If Because there's nothing else that can be bad, right?
That doesn't make sense. That's a circular reason. It's bad because it's wrong because it's bad. Like that doesn't make sense.
I mean, we use language to understand the world, right? We don't rely on objective sort of
Well,
reality,
we do use
objective.
language, but we do also rely on, I would argue, objective principles. So, for instance, if you lived in the 1940s and you were in Nazi Germany, the Nazis would say it would have been right or correct to exterminate the Jews. But you, obviously, I hope you would argue against that, say it's
What's
wrong
that
to
got
do
to
that.
do with objective principles?
No, I'm making an example. So I'm saying because of that, this group of people
Yeah.
think it's
So
morally
how's your example relevant?
yeah, it's irrelevant. I'm explaining it. So the Nazis, they would believe that what they were doing was morally right. You would believe it's morally wrong. Who has the correct view?
Okay. Okay. So you said that we don't rely on non-objective ways to understand the world, right? So then you gave a
No,
completely irrelevant example.
I said we do
So,
rely on objective ways to understand the world
yeah,
morally.
and then you gave a completely unrelated example
It
or
was very
story.
related.
So can you explain how that's related to relying on objective sort of principles and understandings?
Okay, I don't think you're necessarily understanding. Let me go back to maybe a more
Yeah,
basic
I'm
concept.
asking you to explain because your example makes no sense.
Okay, great. So let's go to a more basic concept so you can understand better. So when we're talking about
No,
objective,
no, no. Let's stay on the same example
okay,
and explain it.
okay. So with the Nazis in Germany, right? We're doing that one.
That's your example. I'm asking
Okay.
you to explain what you've just said, which you're now trying to run away from.
I'm not trying to run away. I was trying to explain it better, but I can go back to it anyways, regardless.
You're
But
trying to explain it better by saying let's change subject.
yeah, it's called going to the grounding principle of the
That's
thing.
it's called